everybody, my name is Scott Waters. Welcome to Life to Metal. Gonna do part one in Ronnie James Dio vinyl collection video. Just vinyl, not CDs, not DVDs and all that kind of other stuff, which I do own as well. But today it's just going to be Dio, just the band Dio, and nothing really outside of that on vinyl only. So I do have stuff by Elf and Sabbath and Rainbow, of course, and Stars Project, those kind of things. But like I said, today I'm just going to be showing Dio. So I discovered Dio early on. I was in high school and got to see Dio on his very first tour, playing at the Tower Theater in Philadelphia. The opening band was Twisted Sister, who were on the Can't Stop Rock and Roll tour. It was a fantastic show. I'll never forget it. I was a teenage kid and it was an awesome show. But yeah, first album. This is Holy Diver. Just a fantastic album to this day, and I mean, this is one of those albums like Scream for Vengeance that I say defines what heavy metal is, and it's just a great album through and through. Every song on here, yeah, some of it's a little bit cliche, stand up and shout, but it's just fun. Not every song has to be dark and doomy and deathy, and you can have fun. That's what the music's supposed to be about. Enjoying different emotions and one of those being enjoying yourself. It doesn't always have to be dark. But yeah, this is not a bad song on here. And he had pretty much an all-star lineup with the exception of Vivian Campbell on guitar, who of course would become famous because of his guitar antics with Ronnie James Dio on those first two albums and tours. Or was it three? It might have been three. First three albums and first three tours. Ronnie James Dio vocals, Vinny Appice on drums. Of course, Vinny had come with him from Sabbath. And then we have Jimmy Bain on bass. Jimmy Bain, who had previously been in Rainbow, among other bands. Done a lot of work with Phil Lynott as well. So yeah, great band. Just a classic out and out. So that's the very first album. This is just standard black vinyl, regular Warner Brothers centering. It does have a picture sleeve in it, but I'm not going to get into picture sleeves, otherwise it'd be a really long video. So to go along with those, this is the Holy Diver 7-inch single. This is a UK version of that, and here is the Rainbow in the Dark UK single. And then, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I have the this is the 12-inch single of Rainbow in the Dark. The B-side to this one is Castle Donington 83, Stand Up and Shout, Straight to the Heart. I believe this one was Stand Up and Shout as well, live. And I can't remember what the B-side of Holy Diver was. And I can't see it, so I'm going to have to take it out. Evil Eyes, studio track Evil Eyes, from the Holy Diver album. I do not have the 12-inch of this, which is, I believe, black background, same Dio logo with the Holy Diver above it, but I just have never stumbled across a copy of it. Been on my want list for 30 years, just never seen one. So anyhow, going on to this next album, equally as awesome. Some people like it better than their first album. I think it's just flat out equal. Both albums are great, very similar in style, same lineup, Jimmy Bain and Vivian Campbell and what was his name? Oh, and Claude Chanel too was playing with them, who also had been with Sabbath previously. So yeah, who was I missing there? Vivian Campbell, Jimmy Bain. Who am I missing? Vivian Campbell, Jimmy Bain. Drive me crazy. Can't remember crap like that. As soon as the camera gets on, I become stupid. Let's see here. Vinny Appice, Jimmy Bain, Vivian Campbell. I had them all. I don't know what else. Of course, Ron James Dio. Anyhow, so this is last in line. Again, you get a mixture of kind of. Dio was always very poetic and didn't say a whole lot, in my opinion. It was always like just these words that were like, it was just like a mixture of words that really didn't say a story necessarily, but unless you really were like digging and trying to make it into a story. I like to use a lot of like dark words like wizards and rainbows and this kind of mystic kind of stuff, and that was his shtick, and that was the case here too. But again, like Stand Up and Shout, you get a song like We Rock. I mean, that's what the song is. We rock. It's just like that. So again, I saw Dio on this tour again with Twisted Sister opening. This time they were playing the Spectrum to a packed, sold-out crowd, and it was incredible. And of course, Dio did record a live album that year on this tour at the Spectrum. to go along with that, here's the We Rock 7-inch single. Again, I believe this was a UK single. Yeah, this is a UK single. And here is the We Rock 12-inch. Backed with Holy Diver and Rainbow in the Dark Live from Castle Don 83. This is the Mystery 12-inch single with Eat Your Heart Out Live, Don't Talk to Strangers Live. This again is on the Vertigo label. This is another UK single. This is a radio single for, oh, nope, that's wrong. I thought I had one more single for that album. I guess I don't. Oh yeah, here it is. I do have one more. This is the Mystery single as well. Again on Vertigo. This is actually a 4-song EP though. So you get Mystery, We Rock, Eat Your Heart Out, and Don't Talk to Strangers. And there you can actually see pictures of the whole band right there. There's Vivian Campbell, Vinny Appice, Jimmy Bain, Claude Schnell, who actually was part of the band, though most of the time he wasn't listed as it, and Ronnie James Dio himself. So yeah, another great show, another awesome album. Loved it. Moved off to college that next year, and it's funny little Dio story here. So I moved into my dorm room. My dorm partner, or whatever you want to call him, roommate, wasn't even there yet, didn't know who he was. But I brought my big boom box, I mean, it was the 80s, popped it on top of the dresser in there. First thing I did was pop in a Dio cassette, close the door, play, crank. Within minutes, I had people in my room. Dude, you're into Dio? End up some of those guys that walked into my room that day ended up becoming some of my friends throughout the 4 years I was in college. So it's a little connection to Dio right there as well. So yeah, that was it for singles for that one. Next up, an album that a lot of people found disappointing. This is Sacred Heart. Again, we have the same lineup, but a different sound. It's still Dio. It still has that kind of mysterious sound, almost a gothic sort of heavy metal vibe going on, but it's much more commercial sounding. Production is not quite as dirty and heavy as the other albums. You got songs like King of Rock and Roll, Rock and Roll Children, Hungry for Heaven, which is really poppy sounding in my opinion. So I love this album, but I gotta say when it first came out I was a little disappointed because it wasn't the heaviness I was expecting. It just wasn't what I was expecting from Dio. Over the years I've grown to love it. And again, on this tour, saw them, and again they played at the Spectrum, and again they recorded it and released a VHS tape of it many years ago actually. And then later on it came out in other formats as well. So, but another great album, like I said. And this will be the end of this lineup. This is the last album for Vivian Campbell, who quit the band, and for whatever reason, and Dio, and had not nice things to say about him for years after that. So I don't know exactly what happened basically, but Dio took an unknown guitar player from the UK and made him into a household name. Went on to play with Def Leppard and still plays with Def Leppard to this day. Among others, he's done other projects as well, but Def Leppard's been his bread and butter since leaving Dio pretty much. So anyhow, here's the Rock and Roll Children 7-inch, again a UK single on the Vertigo label. Backed with Sacred Heart Live, I believe. I think it's Sacred Heart Live. I have to look. It doesn't actually say on the center ring. Let's see. No, Rock and Roll Children and Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart is from the forthcoming album, Sacred Heart. So this was a pre-release 7-inch single. As well, here is the King of Rock and Roll. This is just like one of those radio singles with the same song on both sides. I don't remember where I got this from. I've had it forever. Just a collector's thing. Here's the Rock and Roll single 12-inch on Vertigo as well. This one has We Rock Live and The Last in Line Live. Recorded at the Spectrum. The very show that I was talking about. The very show I was at. And then we got the Hungry for Heaven 12-inch. Again, we've got B-side Rock and Roll Children and Like the Beat of a Heart, recorded at the Spectrum in '85. So, but again, same lineup. Vivian Campbell, Vinny Appice, Jimmy Bain, Claude Schnell, and of course Ron James Dio. So what's next? There was also the EP, which also was that same lineup. this was a live EP, Intermission. You can see Dio slaying the dragon, this big electronic dragon he had on stage during the Sacred Heart tour. King of Rock and Roll, Rainbow in the Dark, Sacred Heart, Time to Burn, Rock and Roll Children, Long Live Rock and Roll, A Man on the Silver Mountain were all kind of a medley in the Rock and Roll Children song, and We Rock. So, yeah, that was Intermission. Like I said, same lineup, but it was essentially Sacred Heart was the last full album for that lineup. And again, a cool band shot on the back, and you can see there's 5 guys in there. Again, it's Claude Chanel, who is, for some reason, is never listed as being part of the band, but was always a part of the band. I guess it just wasn't cool to have a keyboard player at the time. Then we had an album most people either love or hate. I love it. I thought it was a return to form. This is a much darker, heavier Ronnie James Dio, and again, this is Dream Evil. Fantastic album from Dio, in my opinion. Night People, Sunset Superman, all the Fools Say I'm the Way, Dream Evil. The first side is brilliant, just awesome, fantastic. Ronnie James Dio. For me, it's as good as either of the first 2 albums. Love it. Side B, you got Naked in the Rain, Overlord, I Could Have Been a Dreamer, which was, I believe, the single for the album. Faces in the Window, and When a Woman Cries. Great album. So lineup here, same lineup, but we added what is his name? Of course, it's not listed on the back. Craig Goldie on guitars. So I should look all this stuff up before I do a video, not just go off my aging memory. But anyhow, this is not a sealed copy. The sticker is just sitting inside there, loose. But it is a pristine copy of it. Again, it's just on the Warner Brothers label. That one here is the I Could Have Been a Dreamer. This is actually a US single. And I believe this is just a radio single and has the same song on both sides. But yeah, this is promotional, not for sale. So right there. And this is Could Have Been a Dreamer on both sides. So I picked this up at a record show 10, 15 years ago for almost nothing. Long before Ronnie died. And now his stuff sells for premium if you could find it. Anyhow, moving on. Lock Up the Wolves. This is again another new guitar player, a young guitar player actually. I should also show sometime. I collect those 8x10 promo photos, and I have tons of Dio ones. Like I said before, Dio passed, his stuff wasn't that hard to find. Some sticky stuff on here. I know there's a picture of the band inside here, so there we go. So here's the band, and over here you see a young Rowan Robinson, who was, I think, 16 or 17 years old when he joined the band here. But yeah, it's a good album. It's not one of my favorites by him, but there's some good stuff on here. Hey Angel, Wild One, the title track. Yeah, it's just not. It's a great album cover, and it's a good Dio album. And it is one when I get into a Dio mood, I pull out and listen to from time to time. But yeah, as far as like huge singles, there wasn't any on this album, despite it being on Warner Brothers, and despite Dio being, Dio. Can't remember what year this came out. I don't see a year on here either. 1990. So it's towards the end of that whole 80s metal movement, but Dio went from being kind of all dressed in, those kind of garments that they wore, the costumes. And here they're wearing denim and leather, so they were going for the more traditional, Saxon denim and leather look and sound. So if you're into Dio and you haven't heard this album, it's worth picking up. It's a good album. I'm not going to say it's better than those first 2 albums, but it's a good album. Here we got another guitar player. This is Tracy G on guitar. This is a very heavy, very dark album for Dio. A lot of people don't like this era. A lot of people don't like the Tracy G era at all. Tracy G was a different style of guitar player. He wasn't that, classic guitar player like the early years. He had a different, more modern style. And a lot of people didn't like that. Yeah, I do. I like it. It's, again, not my favorite. I did get to see Dio on this tour with Tracy G at a very, very small club in Albuquerque. Got to meet Tracy G, and very nice guy. As a matter of fact, ended up working with a friend of his on a label with Ultimatum. They actually signed Ultimatum, but the label ended up going bankrupt before they got the Ultimatum album out. So that's a whole other story. But anyhow, Strange Highways. This was actually just a recent re-release, like literally like this past summer. This came out. It's also been released in like a box set and some other things, but as far as in the US, I think this is the first standalone release for this album on vinyl. Yeah, you can see a little sticker on the front, exclusive limited record store crawl. So you got record store day, you got Black Friday record store day, and you got the record store crawl now. So, all right, what do we got here? Love this album. Love this album cover. It's so Dio. Master of the Moon, a very dark, doomy album. Not quite as upbeat as some of the earlier albums, but still a great album. Just from front to back, this album is just solid. It's just one of those albums I can listen to all the way through and just not fast forward anything. It's just that good. I'm myself tend to be a person who likes to listen to a full album anyhow. Very rarely do I like play single songs or or skip songs. But yeah, this album here, you don't need to skip songs. It's just that good. Again, it returns to a more, gets away from the Tracy G sound, the more modern sounding Dio that, from the 90s here, back into a more classic, almost Sabbathy vibe here. Again, if you're at all a Dio fan, this album is definitely worth having in your collection. This is a US pressing from, I don't know, just a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago. Oh, I lied. This is actually a German pressing. This is a German pressing on Steamhammer from 2004. What else we got in here? Some picture discs, which I've just recently shown in some videos, but I'll show them again. Another album, another great album cover, another great album. I believe Craig Goldie was again on the guitar player on this one. This is the first time it was ever released on vinyl, as far as I know, on Record Store Day 2002. The first ever picture disc the first ever picture disc from the 2002 classic Dio album. So what year did this come out? 2011. So it wasn't that long ago. But yeah, I've had this thing on CD since it came out, and it's a return to the classic Dio sound. Slightly gothic, straightforward heavy metal, great guitar solos, just everything you want to hear in Dio. This album has memorable songs. You want to sing along to them, pump your fists, all that kind of fun stuff. So I don't think this one's ever been released on black vinyl in the United States, as far as I know. Maybe someone else does know. This was actually put out after his passing. So Niji Music 2011. And this is the first and only Dio concept album. Fantastic. I love this album. It was, they told us that Dio was coming to town a good 6 months before the show. I heard it on a local radio station, or I don't remember where I heard it at, but it don't matter. So when I heard that, I just engulfed myself in this album because I liked it a lot. But it's just what I heard was that he was playing the entire album from beginning to end. So I really wanted to know the album and enjoy the album. So when I saw it live, I would enjoy it just as much. And man, it didn't take much for me to really get into this album. And when I saw it live, it was just mind-blowing. It was just so awesome. Again, they played at a small cowboy country club down in Albuquerque. It was a great show. The club was packed. But yeah, going from playing, a place like the Spectrum to playing a little country club down in Albuquerque, big difference. But the show was no less for the amount of people that were there. Loved it. This is again a Record Store Day release from, let's see if the year's on this one, 2013. This album came out in 2000, I believe. Yeah, this album actually came out a couple years before Killing the Dragon. So again, it's a very similar style, but like I said, this one does have a storyline to it. I'm not going to get into the storyline. If you're interested in that, read nolifetilmetal.com. I kind of explained it in the review. So, alright, what else is in here? Let's see. Another Record Store Day release, another single. This is Dio's Holy Diver, back with Killswitch Engaged Holy Diver. Walked into the gym just like a week or two ago, and they were actually playing a very familiar riff over the radio, and it was some modern alternative rock station, and they were playing the Killswitch Engaged version of Rainbow in the Dark, and Holy Diver. It's kind of cool. I'm not a huge fan of that Killswitch Engaged style, but it's a cool song. Do a good job with it, but I'd rather have the original. Regardless, it's Dio, so I added it to the collection. As well as this was a money-raising thing for Stand Up and Shout for Cancer. It's a 6-song EP. So you've got Neon Nights by Anthrax. You've got Rainbow in the Dark by Corey Taylor and a bunch of other musicians you probably know. Straight to the Heart by Hailstorm. Then on the D side you get Neon Nights Live, Rainbow in the Dark Live, and Straight to the Heart Live from Dio. But yeah, it's just a picture disc. It was released, I can't remember if it was released on Record Store Day or not, but supposedly all the money for this, or the profits from this, went directly to cancer research. So that was kind of a cool cause. And yeah, it's not a bad EP. It's actually enjoyable. There's actually a full Dio, you know, Stand Up and Shout, I think it's called. Dio and Friends, Stand Up and Shout. I think it's the CD has more songs on it than the vinyl EP has. This is Stand Up and Shout. Sorry, I keep wanting to say that. This is Finding the Sacred Heart live in Philly '86. Again, this is on the Sacred Heart tour, so this is the third tour through Philly. Dio really liked Philly for some reason. I think it was because he was just always so supported there. I mean, right from the very first tour, you know, Philly just packed the house, and this tour was no exception. Again, this is the one that was released on DVD, VHS. I don't know if it's been released on Blu-ray since then or not, but really good album. Dio and the band were in top form for this album, so very cool collection. Glad to have it on vinyl. Eagle Records. There's a few other live Dio records I would like to get that have been released over the last couple years that I haven't been able to snag yet, but I did grab this one. This was just too cool not to get. Donington UK Live '83 and '87. So you get 2 live performances from the Donington Festival in the UK. Available for the very first time, Dio at the Donington UK Live in '83, '87 in deluxe gatefold. 25 songs from the great heavy metal singer of all time, Ronnie James Dio. Yeah, and it's worth owning. If you're a Ronnie James Dio fan, great performances, very cool, especially the '87 one, because these are just songs you don't hear a lot live. You don't hear like songs like Naked in the Rain, or All the Fools Sailed Away live, so it's cool to have those. '83 was, of course, mostly songs from the very first album, and then, of course, you get, you see here, Children of the Sea, Black Sabbath, Stargazer by Rainbow, which is also very cool, Heaven and Hell, the mega long version by Black Sabbath, Man on the Silver Mountain by Rainbow, Starstruck by Rainbow, then a reprise to Man on the Silver Mountain by Rainbow. So a lot of his old band songs on that first tour, and just an awesome recording. There's one other one. There's like Holy Diver Live that I really like to get. I have it on CD. I don't have it on vinyl. His voice was a little weak on that one, unfortunately. As I recall, he was sick or something like that, but that's a whole other story. So anyhow, that's my Dio vinyl collection. I will do a part 2 eventually. Holiday season's coming, so we'll see when I get a chance to do it. But and I'll do all the Elf and Rainbow and Sabbath stuff that I have, and I'll do the Stars stuff as well. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below. What's been playing in the background the entire time is Austrian band Veil of Ashes. This is their Tearing Up the Roots CD. I love this album, so I made my list for that the year it was released, which is almost 2 years ago now. They have a new album coming out. It's awesome. And I'm just going to shut up from now. God bless. Stay strong.